What's goody? It's your boy. I'm back with another banging video, and today I got the part 2 for y'all. Y'all been asking for it, and I had to come back with it for y'all. The Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, a courtship of a rivalry basketball. Ooh, I messed that title up so bad. A courtship of rivalries basketball. So I appreciate y'all showing love for the video. We dropped it a couple of days ago. It's almost at 100 likes. I've been keeping track, and I've been watching the comments. I've been seeing so many comments asking why I didn't finish this video yet. And I told y'all I was gonna do it this weekend. So we're gonna just go ahead and we're gonna jump into it. We stopped at 52 minutes. We're gonna jump into it. We're gonna do as much as we can do, and then we're probably gonna do a part 3. So maybe 15 and 15. Maybe. Let's see how good and interesting it is from this point on. If you're new to the content, make sure you're liking and subscribing. Please join the fam. Everyone subscribe to help. If you're already a part of the Bird Gang on the channel, man, y'all already know what it is. We've been coming with mad videos, and we're going to come with mad more videos. I got a lot of videos, man. I don't know if y'all be on the Jordan videos. I got some Jordan videos coming too, some music. Yo, little backstory right before I jump into the video. It's going to be quick. Y'all, I tried to join a flag football team to get in shape, you feel me? Because I told y'all I was going to go out on the court and do basketball, like try to do IRL videos and play one-on-ones. Bro, dead ass, no lie. Went out. Nah, I got my cleats. I needed cleats. Game, great. Ready for the game. Boom. I'm going to do my thing. I'm trying to get in shape. This is my whole motive. Bro, why do I go out? It's before the game. I'm trying to catch a pass, warm up. I go to the sideline. I'm in the end zone. I catch a pass. Boom. Pull the muscle before the game even started. What? I've been limping around for the past week. So like I'm trying to get that back corrected, and once I get that corrected, man, I'm going straight into getting back in shape so we can, you know what I'm saying, start doing a bunch of outdoor videos, some different type of content while still giving y'all this type of content. Don't think reactions always gonna be coming, but I'm trying to do a lot of different type of stuff with that. So I appreciate y'all. This intro was way too long. Let's jump into it.
Like, I thought Lansing was small. I think the plan was I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to get up out of here. My plan was that.
Even after Converse had convinced Magic and Bird to film a sneaker ad together in the summer of '85, a question remained. How would the two hated rivals on the court get along off of it?
I don't know how he's gonna react. I don't know how I'm gonna react. We didn't even shake hands, so how are we gonna do a commercial together?
The ad was to be filmed at the home Bird had built for his mom. It featured a full-length basketball court, the day's first location.
So they say, okay, you're playing one-on-one, and I'm looking at Larry, and he's looking at me like, is this real? Are we playing? Because, you know, this is Magic and Bird.
I could just hear.
Before we even get any further into this, guys, you know how crazy it is? It's so competitive. It's a commercial. Y'all definitely not supposed to be going hard playing actual one-on-one. We faking the one-on-one, making it seem like they like, you really want to do this? Like, I'm ready for you. You seen the look? I seen it, bro. Like, you know, bro, but it's that competitive aspect. I already know. Like, don't put me on the court with somebody that I feel like is a rival of mine. I gotta beat him. I don't care if you thought this wasn't real. It's real to me. It's real to him. That's the type of vibe I got straight out of that and from his story, dog. Let's jump back into it.
Larry, starting in on, well, you bring it to the basket, I'm going to send it 30 rows up.
So the guy was like, no, not like that. A fun game. We were both like, oh, okay. Like, like you can see this relief coming over both of our faces.
That brief détente led to the next stage, dialogue.
We sat down next to each other. How was your summer? Oh, it's going good. How was yours? It's going great.
See, that's nice.
See, man, it's a nice spread you got.
He's asked me, is this where you play? I said, yeah, I play here if it's not windy. If it's raining or windy, I go to the gym. But this is where I do all my work.
I see that tractor. You work on the tractor? Hey, man, I work on this tractor every day. Larry Bird work on a tractor? He said, yeah.
It's just them two walking and talking, and every once in a while they'd stop and one of them would say something, and then they'd start laughing.
Then they said, okay, break, it's lunch break time. I was going to my trailer. He said, no, my mother has prepared lunch for us up at the house.
We went up to the house and we sit down there and we talked, and my mom, my brothers thought the world of him.
His mother was so nice, making sure I had enough to eat. I just saw my mother. It was crazy.
He charmed her. You can see it. But that's Magic. He makes everybody feel welcome and warm, and he's a con man.
Oh.
And while Magic charmed Georgia Bird, it was someone else who intrigued her son.
He met Irvin at lunch.
Irvin is a good dude. I like Irvin a lot better than Magic.
I was just so happy to finally be Irvin with him, because Magic was like, I don't know if I want to get to know this guy. But Irvin got a chance to talk about family. I grew up. We just became two relaxed guys, just talking.
That day was great. It was
That's
a great
nice,
day.
man.
Beautiful day.
Still, for Bird, ever the competitor, that's all it was. Just one day.
Magic thinks the next year, okay, well, now we're great friends, so, you know, after the game, we're going to go out, we're going to have a beer, and Larry's like, no, you're right. I know you better. You're a good guy, but I still don't want anything to do with it.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy. If me and him got to be really good friends, to go out on the court, he could still play the same game. I couldn't. That's just the way it is.
But when the ad hit the airwaves, for others, the perception changed.
I saw those limousines going through the cornfields, and I said, no. They didn't sell themselves out.
I heard Converse made a pair of Bird shoes for last year's MVP.
Yep.
But they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP.
Okay, Magic, show me what you got. Oh, this is really a
It's a
business
throwback commercial.
The Bird shoe, the Magic shoe.
thing. And maybe that's where the business thing started to get bigger and began to trump who they both really were.
It polarized the whole idea of lunch bucket versus Hollywood, white versus black. Just cemented all the differences between them.
Kids weren't wearing black gym shoes because they didn't want to be associated with the Larry Bird camp. You wore your white Converse.
The basketball rivals had morphed into cultural warriors, and race, more than ever, had become an unavoidable part of the conversation.
Yo!
But nothing about Bird and Magic had ever been as simple as black and white.
One of the big reasons this rivalry became so emblematic of so many things is because it was an easy dichotomy for people to understand. But it's crazy to simplify it as saying white people like Bird and black people...
Let me stop it. I mean, yeah, it's not that easy to say that it's just that simple, but that more often than not, that would be the choice. The whites gonna go with Bird, the blacks gonna go with Magic. But there are people that think further than that, and they're like, oh, well, I like Bird's game better, and he could be black. Or I like, I'm like Magic's game better, and they would be white. It's not to say that's what it's all about, but that's kind of like, what did he say, the dichotomy? Yes, that would... And not even to say that was the decision and that's what it was going to be, but that's kind of what took them to the forefront. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it was the white versus the black. Now, it was bigger than that. I'm not just going to say that was it, but we're not going to just skip the fact that that's what it was. But at the same time, it generated revenue. Till this day, still generates revenue. It's not okay, but the entity, the rivalry is what saved the NBA. Yeah, the Bird versus Magic, the black versus white made them a lot of money, but that rivalry and and also the other great players that was in the NBA at that time, that's definitely who saved the NBA. We're not, the black versus white thing is not what saved the NBA. You know what I'm saying? It was a big part of everything that was going on at that time. We're not going to neglect that, but yeah. But it's really getting interesting, and I just want to get into the part where they talked about how, they were really good friends. They started figuring things out about each other in that lunch break, and, he found out that Larry still rides a tractor, being not even being a millionaire in the NBA, probably the best player in the NBA. He's still out here riding a tractor every day. That's interesting. That's a little insight. And honestly, for Magic, he felt like they became good friends. And for Bird, he was like, yeah, we're cool now. But at the same time, when we get back to the season, it's like, you're dead ass my enemy. Like, nah, no. And that's exactly the energy he gave him. And it's crazy because they're totally different personas, totally different people. And even... I don't even know if we want to say Bird meant nothing by it, but at the same time, that's just who he is. So let's jump back into it.
Like Magic, because 13% of the country is black, it wasn't like 87% of basketball fans preferred the Celtics.
Who's your favorite basketball player? Magic Johnson. Who's your favorite movie star? Eddie Murphy. volcano. All you ever talk about is nigga this and nigga that. And all your favorite people are so-called niggas. It's different. Magic, Eddie, Prince. I'm not niggas. I mean, you're not black. I mean, let me explain myself.
Has the N-word ever been used by a white person to describe Urban? I doubt it.
But as Magic enjoyed his
He's a
image as a
prestigious
crossover star,
N-word.
it was Bird, the one-time great white hope, who had further emerged as the polarizing racial figure, due in part to that era's increasingly conservative political climate.
The rolling back institutionally of the achievements of the civil rights movement were going on apace from about 1975 on. But the triumph of the movement that rolled back took place in the 1980s. And I think there was people who were very aware in the black community of what was going on. And I think there was a lot of sublimated frustration. And I think one of the ways it got sublimated was into basketball. And I think Larry, through no fault of his own, was the receptacle within which the lingering resentments somehow floated.
And after Bird led the Celtics to the championship in 1986, his third in the pros, winning his third straight MVP award in the process, the resentment grew.
I always felt that the press was biased in favor of Larry Bird. It always felt to me like they were going to make Larry the hero. You know, you'd see somebody score, and Larry would be in a cast and a suit on the bench, and they'd say, Larry Bird made that possible. A couple weeks ago when he told that guy he could do it, and he just did it. They gonna get his motherfucker the assist, and he not in the game.
Not to be racist, but we have a white guy who's the best in the world. It's predominantly a black sport now, and you got a guy like...
Hey, let's stop it. We knew this before anything. Like, we're not even going to sit here and act like they said he was a great white hope and they was setting him up to be that guy. So why we going to sit here and act like that wasn't what was about to go down? No, that was the setup. Like, and it's hard to acknowledge that that's what they pushed to the forefront, but that's what it was. But he was there to save basketball because like they said at the beginning, the white guys were not getting any shine. No, the white man was completely out of the game at this point. He came and saved it to the point where the white man became cool in the game of basketball again. You got to understand at that point, this is not our era. This is a totally different era. This is a totally different thing happening right now. Let's jump back into it.
Larry Bird, who can't run, who can't jump, but can do everything out there.
That don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean anything to me. It never has. I don't know why. I mean, am I doing something wrong here?
Bird may have sought to avoid the conversation entirely, but the more he won, the less he could escape it.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. What a play by Bird.
In 1987, after Boston beat the Detroit Pistons to advance to the finals for the fourth straight year, Pistons rookie Dennis Rodman called Bird overrated because he was white. His teammate Isaiah Thomas then chimed in with some thoughts of his own.
I think Larry is a very, very good basketball player. I think he's an exceptional talent. But I'd have to agree with Rodman. If he was black, he'd be just another good guy.
I can remember in the locker room, I think it was Jack McMullen came up to me and said, Isaiah just said, boom, 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 boom. And I go, so?
He didn't care. He didn't care. Everybody else around him cared very deeply in the days and weeks as it turned out ahead.
I mean, the media made it out like it was something. But it didn't matter to me what Isaiah or Dennis Rodman said. And it still don't. It has no bearing on what I do in my life.
He doesn't see race. He really doesn't. And he could have. This guy grew up poor, white, in southern Indiana. Southern Indiana, the home, by the way, of the modern Ku Klux Klan. How he managed not to be affected by the cultural milieu that he grew up in is, I think, a miracle. To me, it's inexplicable.
When I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I couldn't wait till school to be over because I knew over on the courts, the waiters from the hotel would be over there. They were black, older, and they let me play. You know, I always looked at that as I got an opportunity to play against a black man, and they treated me good. I couldn't wait to play against the best, and at that time, they were the best.
And in 1987, as Bird vied with Magic to be the best, The flap over Isaiah Thomas's racially fueled remarks forced Bird to address his least favorite topic at the worst possible time.
I had to go to a press conference when I was in L.A. trying to get ready to play the Lakers and tell people I didn't care. This don't bother me.
The main thing is if the statements or whatever was said doesn't bother me, I don't think it should bother any of us.
From playing all year trying to get back to the finals and play against Magic, this was a distraction.
Bird was faced...
Yo, I just gotta say this about Bird, man. Like, he's top tier when it comes to being a professional, because there's a lot of things the media can do to cloud your, your judgment. Also on top of, like, just even push him to say something that he wouldn't have wanted to say in that moment, in that press conference, at any time whenever all this was going down. And I feel like he held himself very well, and he's a very, very responsible, accountable person. But to his mental and what he thinks, and that's what I appreciate about him. And I see this so many times in this video, because right after the Magic thing, I'm gonna bring that back up again. We're right back to competitors. You're a Laker, I'm a Celtic. We're rivals. That friendship doesn't matter right now. We're on the court. This is what I'm doing. I'm locked in, going for this title, and you are the one that I gotta go through. So that's what it is at this time. That's his mentality. Now on top of that, all that stuff y'all talking about, that race stuff, oh, I'm just a white guy, and if I was black, it wouldn't be that. Well, hey, great. That's your opinion. Doesn't matter to me. If more people thought like that, you'd be able to accomplish your goals. It's weird, and I just like his thought process, because I think very similar to that. So it's like, I like it, but even on top of that, the basketball distraction, cool. Like they said, he's from the forefront town in Indiana for racism, for the Ku Klux Klan, and he chose not to see that. You have to be a special individual. That made me cling to him a little bit more, just to see his decision making and the type of person he is. I already liked him as a basketball player, but looking into his livelihood and who he really is as a person, it brings me a little bit closer, and I appreciate that, man. So let's jump back into it.
Facing off against Magic for the third time in 4 years, and if their relationship had softened, the determination to beat each other had not. As Game 4 proved, the level of competition between them was higher than ever.
Bird played awesome down the stretch of that game.
Trailing 2-1 in the series, the Celtics were down by 1 point in the final minute of the game. But Larry Bird wouldn't be easily vanquished.
Open his aim. Bird goes for three.
With 7 seconds left, though, the Lakers still had life. 3 years earlier in the '84 finals, Magic had flubbed a similar situation. But this was a different Magic, one with a whole new bag of tricks.
My man switched to Kareem, and Kevin McHale jumped out to me. As soon as I saw Kevin, I said, oh, I'm taking him.
Magic puts it on the floor, a couple head and shoulder fakes. He raised up in the air, and there was nobody that was going to get that shot.
That was a great shot.
I remember after they called timeout thinking, there's still a shot here. Celtics may still win this game.
Well, they set up a great play. Bird walked Worthy all the way up, forced the denial all the way up.
We've done it before. Clear everybody out, go to the ball, and break the corner.
He caught it here, and as he caught it, all he had to do was turn. And just turn, and he just let this thing go.
Bird fires it.
Got a wide open look, couldn't believe it.
And I'm standing right there, it is straight as an arrow.
Dead on.
And the Lakers have won.
We're lucky, because it was right on line.
He looked at me like, how did you ever leave me that wide open?
You gotta be kidding me.
He missed.
Changed the whole series.
The Lakers won the series in 6. And in the aftermath of a year in which Magic had won his first MVP, the rivalry suddenly took on a new tone.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen,
Respect.
Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
I was shocked that he said it, because I thought to myself, maybe this is the beginning of a new era that's not going to include him. It was the passing of the torch a little bit.
After vanquishing Bird in '87, Magic wasn't done winning. The following year, he squared off in the finals against his good friend Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, beating them to become the NBA's first repeat champions in 2 decades.
Magic
By
was
the
different.
dawn of the 90s, he'd won 5 titles, played in 8 finals, and equaled Bird's MVP tally of 3. But the more Magic won, the less Irvin seemed to be around to reap the spoils.
Once I tasted the champagne and the championship, I wanted more of that and more of that. So Magic kept growing because we were successful. And the persona and all that came with that.
The Prince of LA was now the king.
Okay, now it looks like, all right, I just want to say this because he is winning. He's becoming that guy. He's basically above, maybe a little bit at this point, because they said he made it like 5 championships. He matched the 3 MVP. So at this point in that career, he's on top. He's that guy, but he's losing himself. He's losing Irvin, period. Like, Magic is completely taking over. And when you in the type of career where you're superstardom, or you have superstardom or anything like that, you're kind of living 2 lives. Where you're trying to be a normal person when you have your time to be normal, and then when you're this person. So when he's trying to be Irvin at home, you know, he's trying to be Irvin. But when he's not at home, any other time, he's Magic. But he started winning so much. He started being so great. He was on top of the world. Magic started taking over more of the time that Irvin was getting. You know what I'm saying? And like, you can tell, you can hear it from the story, you can see it. So I'm not gonna say everything about to go downhill from here, but I've seen this before. It's not looking good. Let's jump back into it.
And in Hollywood, being royalty had its perks.
And he in Hollywood.
What was Irvin Johnson's vice? Now, you know, my publicist wants me to say winning. But women loved Irvin.
Back then, before voicemail, they used to have these mail slots in the hotels where you leave your key. And when we get into a town, Irvin's mail slot would be so packed, and it would be just Susan and a phone number, Linda and a phone number, Joyce and a phone number. I mean, that was every city, every time.
I was on top of my game as Magic, so I needed all that around me at that time. The women, the this, the that, Hollywood.
Magic was living in a context of sybaritic excess from the minute he walked in the door, and he developed a sweet tooth.
Sex with several women at the same time.
Yeah.
That's just
like
crazy.
I said, women have different fantasies. Some want to be with 2 or 3 at a time. You know, one time I had 6 at one time. That's just...
I really do believe he looks upon Magic Johnson as a movie character he played. I think Irvin got overwhelmed in LA by what it meant to be a star.
That's probably true, that the Magic ego swallowed Irvin a little bit, but that's okay, because I couldn't win 5 championships without that.
Through all of this haze of women and money and fame and fortune, he still kept basketball at #1. He never seemed to lose that focus.
That's what he needed
Larry
to
had 2
be
jobs
that
his
guy.
last 7 years of playing. It was playing basketball, and then it was him being committed to taking care of his back.
He had first heard it in 1985, building the driveway at his mom's house back in French Lick.
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel. And that was the beginning of a process.
I would see him on TV laying down, and then they told me that he had to lay down on planes, different things like that. And I was like, wow.
As Magic soared through the prime of his career, Bird was breaking down. His deteriorating back.
Yo, that's so tough. As great players, like, the story gets crazier as it gets deeper and deeper, because Larry, just being a hard worker and doing what he doing, just life, basically, his back started deteriorating, and he started getting, like, deteriorating as a player, which is inevitable. It's not his fault. Magic, on the other end, I don't even want to say deteriorated as a player. Just his career got derailed because of his stardom, because he was going too hard, and not to say it swallowed him or whatever. He fed into it too much. He drunk the juice. Like what? How, like he was on that sauce. He was too deep, and not to even say basketball was his main priority at the time. So it never stopped him from being that basketball player. He felt like it helped him. So I can't really knock him as much as people want to knock him, because everybody has their vice. And especially whenever you live in a life like that, superstardom, you got people in your face every day, you got responsibilities, you got people you need to take care of. Everybody has their vice to keep them going, and the stardom was his vice. Do we want to knock him for that? Do we want to? But I just want to say 6 people at a time, 7 people. That was overkill. That was too much. Even though you're able to do it, I don't think that's a great idea ever. Like I don't know why, but it is what it is. I can't judge him for that. I just feel like that was overkill. But at the same time, it's hard to watch, because why did Bird, the hard worker, have to be the one that get the bad back? And I'm not to say I want it to be Magic or anything, but it's like, it's crazy the way life, you know what I'm saying, deals you a hand, and you just got to go with it. So let's jump back into it.
And punishing style of play, proving an excruciating mix.
From 88 to 92, it was painful to watch. It was painful to cover. Larry is quite ornery when he's not feeling well, which means he was ornery for those next 4 years.
He could manage the pain in a way that very few people can do. There'd be days he could come in the office and he couldn't stand up straight.
But even after 2 ruptured Achilles tendons and surgery on his back in 1991, Bird kept going to work.
That's
product
crazy.
of a lesson learned many years before, seeing the swollen ankle of a man long since gone.
Well, we don't know if it broke or not, but it looked broke to me. Had to go to work, and he had to get his boot on, and it took everything I had to help him get that boot on his foot. And he stood up limping, and he says, well, I'll see you this weekend, because he was working construction at the time. And I was pretty amazed how he could fight through that all week and come home on the weekend, and it was black and swollen, and he'd sit around on the weekend and put that boot on and go again. If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work.
It was a situation that he was seeing almost daily. He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal positions to try and lock itself to get an artificial stability. That's like getting your finger stuck in a door and somebody's still pushing on the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours.
It sounds painful.
And then he'd go play basketball.
Every time I would play, I was wondering if I was going to be in a wheelchair, or was I ever going to be able to, walk on the beach or hold my kids.
His pain and his quest for basketball became all-encompassing. Very few people really knew what Larry was.
Every time he get hurt, hit the deck, it's scary.
Because this was Larry's issue, and there was no sharing of his pain.
I probably should have retired in 88, 89. But it's that competition. Maybe one more chance, me and Magic get together in the finals. But it never happened.
I'm sleeping, really, laying down, just waiting on the game, and phone rings, and
Before we get any further into what Magic is about to say right here, y'all, I just gotta say this about Bird, man. It's scary, but at the same time, just his drive and his determination to still be a hooper is crazy, and to go after his dreams and just get to that cup, you know what I'm saying, that final game, that championship, is beautiful. But at the same time, let's get back to that point where he talked about his dad and the ankle, the swollen ankle. That right there, that moment created Larry's work ethic, his mind frame, his mentality, his mental, all that. To see the guy that he looked up to, the man that's on a pedestal in his life at that time, be that hard of a worker, be that much, I don't even know how I want to put it, but be that invested into family and the ties that he has, to go walk on that swollen ankle and go make it because he know there's no other way to make it. There's nothing else we can do. And that brought him to the point to where he had that work ethic. Oh, yeah, I'm hurting. My back's messed up. I might be in a wheelchair after this year, but I'm still going to go and accomplish what I need to accomplish. Bro, what are you talking about? There's nobody tougher. No player, like, players in the league nowadays would have retired. Like, what he retired in maybe 92. They would have retired in, like, 86. They would have retired when these injuries started and they told them they had these back problems. Either they would get surgery for that or they're retiring completely. He was a different type of man. Like, he was a different type of player, and this era was different. When I say it, people don't believe it, but they need to look into these stories. Right? Let's jump back into it.
The voice says, hey, you got to come back to L.A. And I said, okay, why? Well, I can't tell you until you get to L.A. So I said, okay.
2 hours later, he was in the office of Lakers team physician Michael Melman.
Dr. Melman starts to tell me that, you know, through the physical that I took, that they discovered that I had HIV.
Whoa. The team is the ones that figured it out?
First time ever in my life. I'm such a control freak, right? And do things the right way. I'm out of control. Oh, it was everything. How is it possible? What happened? How did it happen to me? And my mind is racing, you know, and then you're just devastated.
Further complicating things,
Damn.
Magic had gotten married just 2 months earlier, and he feared the worst for his new bride, Cookie, who was pregnant with their first child.
I don't know what's going to happen with my wife and my baby. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't have control of the situation, and I was lost just for that.
That's crazy.
Next 2 or 3 weeks.
And after Magic learned neither his wife nor his unborn child were infected, he began revealing the news to his inner circle.
The phone rang, and it was Magic's agent, Lon Rosen. And he said, Urban's looking for you, call him. And I said, I'll call him when I get to Paramount. And he says, call him now. I said, Lon, I'll call him when I get to Paramount. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And he said, you got to call him now. Urban's HIV positive. I remember I was sitting on the bed. I remember standing up at that point. And I said, how is that possible? I'm thinking Urban's gonna get skinny and die. I mean, literally, that's what I thought. Urban's gonna get skinny and die.
The first person I thought of was Larry. I wonder what Larry thinks.
The day that I heard about Magic, it just sort of changed my love for basketball. It shook me up. You know, you get that feeling, probably the same type of feeling I had when my father died.
He wants to understand why, you know, how can I talk to him? I need to speak to him. It was just really important for Larry to talk to him.
You know, sort of, I don't know. I wanted to hear it from him if I didn't believe it.
Called me, and we're talking. You know, it's just, how you doing? I heard about it, and you can almost hear both of us with some tears in our eyes. And I'm choked up because he did call me. And, you know, when something happens, to you, and then you find out who really your friends are and people who really care about you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You figure all those battles, all those things we had to go through as warriors, as competitors, then as men, and here this man says, hey, you know what, man, you're okay. And so that was the greatest moment for me too, you know, to have him check on me and to make sure I was okay.
First of all, let me say good after late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today.
It's the only press conference I've ever been in where I've seen reporters cry. I mean, we thought this guy was in total denial.
I plan on going on, living for a long time, bugging you guys like I've always have.
We thought this smile was going to be wiped off his face forever, and he was going to die, but we're going to watch him die in public.
I just remember in the room, he was joking, and I'm sitting there looking at him crying, and he's like, Coop, man, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
I am going to go on, I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to have fun.
Sure, come on. You're going to beat this? And to him, it was a contest. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, AIDS and Magic Johnson, it's same thing. It's just a different game, different rules, but I'm still going to win.
He wasn't planning on going nowhere. Urban was planning that day to find the right medicine, to eat right, get rest, and live forever. That's what he was planning.
Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
But as Magic put up a positive public face, his nemesis, still out of sorts, shed the mask he had hidden behind for years.
He was visibly like, wow, how could that happen? You know, it really set him back.
Okay, the story getting so deep, I'm like, what? Okay, it gets even deeper because you know it from the outside, but seeing it on the inside and seeing the feelings and the emotions from the players, like Larry, he got out of that shell. It's not just about the basketball, the competition no more. He was already going through stuff with his injuries and things like that, and to see this from your rivalry, man, your brother, you know what I'm saying? You've been 10 years plus probably, you've been going at it with this man side by side, not literally but figuratively, side by side, going to war, battle every day. It builds a different type of bond. So I see it. I definitely see it. But it's really a difference. Magic is a different type of person. Because to sit up there and to be strong and to tell him, like, I'm going to live, I'm going to be there, all this is going to be okay. And everybody around him is like, no, bro, that's it. You had a good run. He's a different type of person, and that creates a different type of respect for him, in my opinion, from me. Because, bro, like, he could have gave up from that day forward. Been happy with his life and content. Don't get me wrong, but giving up. No, there was no answer for this at that time. Possibly people still think there's no answer for this day in 2023. So yeah, man, to be that person, to be able to fight that, to be able to beat that, he's still alive. He's amazing. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate the fact that now the story is getting a little bit deeper to where it's like, okay, Larry got to be like, no, man, my friend is at a position where I'm probably not going to have him in the next 5 years. Or you never know when that type of stuff is going to take him. So the story has took a totally different turn. But I feel like it's because they've blossomed as people. They've grown. They're becoming veterans. They're a little older in life. So, you know what I'm saying? Your priorities change. Your feelings change. Your attitude changes. That's just how life goes. You grow. That's what it is. But it's a different type of rivalry. This rivalry is one of the deeper ones. And let me know if there's anyone that I can get this deeply into and it goes that crazy. But I doubt it. This is the biggest one because there would be no NBA today probably if it wasn't for them. So let's look into some other rivalries. Let's jump back into this story though. Yeah, man, it's crazy, and this part right here is the hardest part for me to watch. I'm not gonna lie because it's so sad. Come on, let's get back to it.
Probably the two toughest days I've had since my father passed away, and I've been very depressed and sort of been out of it.
I listened to him talk in this press conference about how devastated he was, and I remember thinking to myself, goddamn, Larry found Urban.
You know, just out of the blue, something like that happening. It's just, I've never had, other than one other instance, and I was hoping I'd never see that again because I remember how I felt weeks after that. And yesterday was just a sad day.
And at his game that night, Bird was forced to confront pain, he couldn't so easily play through.
Didn't want to be there that night. First time ever. And really last.
You could see it in his face.
I remember we played in Atlanta. Had no feel for the game, you know. This wasn't a good time to be out there. Never had that before.
That night he threw a pass. I'll never forget, he threw a half-court pass behind his back for a layup. And if you blurred your eyes, you squinted your eyes, it looked like magic. And that was Larry saying goodbye.
Wow.
You know, I mean, this competition thing is amazing. What it does to you. What you put your body through and what you do
Makes
and
you push yourself.
what you say and how you feel. And knowing that he's not there wouldn't feel right. I think it's all them years that, you know, what's he doing? What if he's practicing this hard? I bet he shot 500 shots a day and I didn't get 500 in. It's always that mind games.
Bird played through the 91-92 season, his last in the NBA. But a part of him was already gone.
I didn't check the papers anymore. You know, it didn't matter.
So guys, it just seemed like his love for the game was gone, his rivalry was gone. Well, not even seem like, that's what it is. He has no more love for his and not to say there's not other people he could have competition with. Magic was that guy. And it's crazy to see it, but it makes it even more beautiful at the same time because, like, now that Magic's gone, he don't have the love for the game and he's going to retire too. Even though he had all these injuries, he was playing through that just because of that rivalry, just because of that competition. And then now that's over, I feel like my journey's over. Man, that's a beautiful, crazy way to end the career. And, like, he probably could have played a couple more years if it wasn't for all the injuries and back problems. But I feel like it was a good time. I know a lot of people want to think that it's early, but certain people have to go out early. That's just the way the cards, you know what I'm saying, the cookie crumbled, the way the cards were dealt. That's just what it is. But I still feel like he had a beautiful, insane, great career. I'm talking about in 2023. He was playing in the 1980s. Come on now, let's be real. He's still a legend, and that's why I call him Larry Legend. He get my respect, and we're gonna try to get more respect on his name. I'm telling you, we're not stopping. Let's get back into it.
Still want to compete, you know, but it wasn't the same. It really wasn't.
With the exception of that year when he was called Tragic Johnson because on the basketball court things didn't shake down properly, this is the first time I'm hearing ignorance, hatred, vicious, nasty things.
There was some of my former teammates who had their own little things that they were talking about and why this happened to me.
You know anybody else that's heterosexual that got it? Come on, man. You in denial. I've been called gay, faggot, Urban's lover. I've been called all that shit.
Lon Rosen got a call from Isaiah Thomas asking, you know, I keep hearing Magic's gay. And Lon said, well, for crying out loud, you know better than anybody he isn't. You're one of his best friends. And he said, well, we don't know what's going on in Hollywood. And the fact that Isaiah was questioning why he got this, I think it was really, really hurtful to him.
He used to say, you know, I don't want people to stop shaking my hand and giving me my hugs. He loves to be loved. And that's what bothered him the most, that people would change.
Right.
In relationship to him.
He would show up at the Lakers facility to work out and to shoot some baskets, and he'd try to engage his teammates and say, hey, you want to play a little one-on-one before practice? And, oh, geez, no, I can't. I got to go get taped. Or, oh, geez, I got work to do. I got to do something else.
The worst thing of all this is that I couldn't play basketball. I don't even think dealing with HIV. It was I couldn't play.
The game, the surroundings was his whole world. That's his personality. When you take that away.
All right. What? That's definitely a fact. Like, and it's crazy. And I mean, can you like, how y'all feel about that? Because I'm not gonna throw my biased opinion into this one, but like the people definitely switched up on him. They're not the same. They don't want to hug him, but at the same time, they're dumbfounded to the way that this gets spread, and they don't know, like, should I hug him? Should I shake his hand? Like, can I catch it from that? So I don't know. I don't know how much we can really blame him on that, guys. And I'm sorry about the background noise, but no, it's definitely not. It's definitely not something that's easy to deal with. But on top of that, it's the closest people for me. Like, the media got them confused, and now y'all questioning whether he's heterosexual or not. Y'all questioning things that you know the answer to, but you seen something else, and now that's what you going with. But you already knew. Now you calling other best friends and you questioning that, and you gotta be reassured that he is what he is, or it's like, this didn't make him a totally different person. This is a random thing that happened to him. I hate that fact about people, but it's certain people that you can't change that about. It's certain things, certain aspect, and certain ways of thinking that you can't change. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's just, that's what it is. But I feel bad about it, because like, he had to go through that, and then now to this day he's still alive, and like, he possibly still goes through this. But I mean, it's a different day and age. We know that he's probably beat that by now, and you know what I'm saying. So it's like, at this point, well, people probably don't act exactly the same, but people know. And it's another thing. It's hard because it's so public. Everybody knows what's going on. So he was so famous that no matter if he's walking down the street, or if it's just a fan, or if it's somebody he was cool with last month, they know what went down. That's a hard thing in itself, to deal with your business just being in the media, in the forefront of everything for everybody to see. That's hard in itself. And I just want to say he handled it very well. Like, he did. And just to say, it showed close how a lot more closely how close him and Larry Bird were. Because Larry Bird felt like, he said out of his own mouth that this is the second time I felt like this. The only other time I felt like this is when I lost my father. Like, they were literally rivalries, but they're brothers. It's like we've been together for 10 plus years, maybe 15. We've grown up together. We've seen each other since we were like teenage kids. It's different. It's a different type of respect they have for each other. And he was there for Irvin, not Magic. You can see who was there for Magic. That's the people that's acting crazy. They were there when he was on top of the world and he was Magic. Now that he's a regular person, he's Irvin. You can see who your real friends are. Sometimes that's needed. Not to say he needed the AIDS or whatever, but that's needed for you to see who really has your back. Truly. Let's jump back into it.
You know, you're hurting. I knew he was hurting in a big way.
The only sex is safe sex, and that's no sex.
As basketball went on without him, Magic performed ably in his new role as HIV educator and spokesman.
I'm helping every way that I can.
But he still pined for the arena, which had made him a star. So when he was invited to play in the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, he jumped at the chance, promptly stealing the show and winning MVP honors.
That's nice.
But that was just a warm-up. For the encore, Magic had up his sleeve.
He's not done yet, because we're going to go to Barcelona and bring back the gold for everyone here in the United States.
Thanks, Larry. For the first time ever, NBA players would be competing in the Olympics. And Magic, armed with a message, was not about to miss the show.
Yo, that's crazy.
You would prove to people that you were not going to get the disease.
Hey, before we even go any farther into it, now they say he's not going to get the disease playing with him right now. So what was the problem about letting him back into the NBA? If he's still playing at a high level and nobody's going to get the disease playing with him, then why not let him back into the actual NBA and just let him play in the All-Star game and let him play in the Olympics? Please explain that to me in the comments, because that's baffling me. I can't even speak right now. Like, why? What is the point? He could have had at least 3-4 more years, if that, two good more years as Magic, and would have like made his legacy totally different. And maybe it's just the people didn't want to let him play. It's like, we don't want to play in the league, but y'all allowed him to play in these games. I don't know. Let's jump back into it though.
He's playing against me, and then also for me too personally. You know, it was therapy. It was a way to say, man, yeah, you get to do this one more time.
There was also one other perk.
I think playing with Larry was very important. That's something they talked about. I mean, he was going to be on the Dream Team. He was going to be with Michael. He was going to be with Barkley. But he was going to play with Larry.
Magic kept saying to him, I just want to get you out on that court one more time. Let's just have one more sequence like we had all the way back in 1978. But it was interesting that with Magic being the one that was HIV positive, he felt great. He was in the best shape of his life. he had worked so hard to make sure he didn't go there as a token player, and here was Larry, who couldn't even practice, who could barely move.
But you know what? Didn't matter. We were still together.
Right? He was there.
You know, didn't matter.
It's about the memories, though. Just being able to be there with each other.
And when he got his opportunity, he switched a few.
I see
Now, who's taking the last shot?
Still got it.
When I got my opportunity, I still was Magic.
Ooh.
14 years after they'd first crossed paths, the smiling kid from Lansing and the shy boy from French Lick were happily back together in Barcelona. But it took just one glance outside their hotel's front door each morning for them to see that as far as they had come, they were as far apart as ever.
The only way you walk out that door if you wanted attention. But I asked this guy, how can you get around this? There's got to be a way. Lo and behold, there was a side door. You can go wherever you want. I was going to tell him about it, but seeing that smile on his face, the closer you got to that front door, come on. He didn't want no side door, you know Irvin. He'd go right in the middle of them.
Turn the long way, sweetheart. There you go.
I'm going out the front because that's who I am. I don't go out the back. I don't go out the side.
That's not me. If you want to go somewhere in a hurry, there's a door that leads you there. And I found it.
I respected him for that. And so, hell, I would try to find a side door for him. And we never tried to change each other. That's what made this relationship great.
One of my pet peeves always is when people say, oh, Michael Jordan saved the NBA. Bullshit. Bullshit. Magic and Larry saved the NBA. That's who saved the NBA. Magic and Larry.
Magic and Larry. Bird and Magic. To the millions who once watched them, now more than ever, they are inseparable. A pair of athletes thrown together by the cosmos to compete. A pair of men who discovered a bond in the midst of that competition. Decades removed from the height of their rivalry, their bond endures. Two impossibly different men with a connection only they can fully grasp.
It's almost like a private little club, and only the two of them are in it. And every once in a while, they need to show up to have a reunion and pay their dues to each other. But they don't need the day-to-day contact that most friends need. It's just not that kind of relationship.
I always get this good feeling when I know I'm going to see him because he makes you feel good. You know, he really does. He's unbelievable.
He's very private, but if he's your friend, man, you got a friend for life. And Larry Bird is a straight shooter. He'll tell you when he don't like you. That's one thing I wish I could have from that he has that I don't have. I wish I had that.
I mean, he walked in here, this whole room would change, and maybe that's what I always wanted to be, but I just couldn't.
That's the end of it, guys. Hey, let me say this. Ain't that one of the biggest things, though? Ain't that some of your best friends, the people that something that inspires you about them that you don't have in you, you know what I'm saying? Like Larry said, you know what I'm saying? He was always able to be open and everybody loved him. I'm not that type of person. I like that about him. And then Magic was like, you know what I'm saying? He liked a certain thing about Bird, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reason. I could never do that. And I'm not that person. And I think that there's a certain appreciation you have for that type of person and not trying to change each other because that's an aspect you wish you had. And it's for great friendship, you know what I'm saying? It builds a great bond and great relationship because, oh man, I wish I could be more like that. Or maybe you could show me like that. They didn't have that type of friendship, but you know what I'm getting at. Okay, anyway, let's get back into the story. it's crazy to see how the whole bond switched, because this rivalry could have went a totally different way. They could have been the rivalry where they totally, completely hated each other because that's what it was meant to do. It was meant to be a dog fight. It was meant for them to go head to head, and in the end, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna get the numbers, it's gonna get what the league wants, but these two guys are gonna be fierce rivals that will hate each other until the day they die. That's how the league set it up, and they would be fierce rivals till the day they died, but that's not what happened. They were a special type of rivalry, and individually they were a special type of players that changed the league, but also, I want to say, changed the aspect of the way people looked at anything at this time. You know what I'm saying? These basketball players were meant to be against each other. Not only as a black and white thing, as a Laker and a Celtic, as pure opposites. But they were very alike in certain ways. But opposite in basically every other way. They, as the people they are, found a way to be better. And I gotta respect that. They didn't go with the quote-unquote movement that was put in their face. Yeah, they went with it. They loved the game. They fed into the competition. They even went with all the stardom. But at the end of the day, whenever it came down to their opinion and what they really stood on, they didn't go with quote-unquote what was popular with the media. No, Larry didn't care about none of that racism. And it would have been okay. Not to say, like, nowadays, looking back at it, it would have been like, oh, damn, he was another one of those. No, it would have been okay at the time if he did it, because it was accepted by everybody in that race. Even the blacks. It was like, we're against the whites. It's not just accepted on that side, it was accepted on this side. I'm not trying to be biased. But what I'm saying is he chose not to be that guy. And it could have easily been that guy. That grows my appreciation for Larry. But also, like we said, Magic never doubted that he would have beat this. Never doubted. Like, everybody's crying. Reporters, people saying they never seen reporters cry in an interview like that. Everybody counted him out and thought he was going to go. And till this day, he still let you know, I knew that I was going to beat this. There was no way. There was no cure. We were going to find one. We're going to fight it. And with that attitude, there's no way you can lose. And look at it. Let's just, you know what I'm saying? Let's just talk about that. Let's look at it. He's still, 2023, wasn't he like this year I don't think he was a Lakers general manager, but like he was like in the front office of the Lakers or whatever. Not supposed to be here. Come on, man. There's nothing you can't do without a little bit of determination and good work ethic and the willingness to work hard. But both of them had this, they were purely the guys that they needed to be for their legacy. Well, they were more than those guys, because Larry didn't have to play through all those injuries. And then they didn't have to respect each other that much. And they didn't have to have that much fun with the competition. And then at the end of the day, some of the stars we have nowadays are so arrogant. They didn't have to be the people they are, those lighthearted, good people. They could have been these arrogant superstars that we didn't be able to cling to. But that creates legacy. It created their legend and their rivalry and the legend of their rivalry, and has them going until this day. I appreciate that. Has the legacy and the rivalry still going, and both of them are still here. So they're much appreciated. But other than that, bro, I had to come back with this video for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I try my best to get it done. We're working on audios. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on my commentary, everything. So I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me so far. If you're new to the channel and this is one of your first videos, make sure you like and subscribing. I got a lot of Larry Bird videos on the channel. I got music content. We got Michael Jordan content. We're going to be doing some other Ultimate Teams, maybe Magic, maybe AI. If you do have a request, drop it down in the comments. But before I get out of here, make sure everybody, if you're new to the content, please subscribe to the channel. Let's try to get this video to at least 3,000 likes. But if you're new, make sure you're subscribing, because everyone's subscriber counts. It's like 40% of the people, 35% of the people subscribe, and like the other 70, 60% just watch the video. So please be that one to change that and subscribe to the channel for me. I appreciate you. I hope you know what it is. And I'm out, you did.